Hey everyone, and welcome to the NPC Weapons Only full movie. The culmination of all 3 episodes is here, so grab a snack and a drink, sit back and relax, and enjoy the movie. Peace. There are a lot of weapons in Terraria. Boomerangs, maces, spellbooks, the list goes on. You name it, it's probably here. Hell, even ham is a weapon. The friendly NPCs that inhabit your towns also have weapons. They range from the guide having a wooden bow to the steampunker using a clockwork assault rifle. With a total of 28 NPCs to interact with, it should be possible to beat Terraria with only their weapons, right? Well, that's what I set out to find. In this video series, I'm going to beat Terraria from the Eye of Cthulhu all the way to the Moon Lord with only the NPC's weapons. Now before anything else, let's go over some rules. Rule number 1. I can only use weapons that NPCs use to attack. Some NPCs get upgraded weapons in hard mode, and that leads me into rule number 2. I can't use hard mode NPC attacks until I am in hard mode. So, for example, the Mini Shark and Flower of Fire are both obtainable in pre-hard mode, but only used by NPCs in hard mode, so I'll have to wait to use them. This video will only cover pre-hard mode, and the next videos will cover hard mode pre-golem and hard mode post-golem. With all of that out of the way, let's get into it. Now, as soon as I spawned in, I had to trash my copper short sword. Now it's time for some first day activities. I chopped some trees, did a little spelunking, found a desert. What? I hardly get desert pyramids anymore, so it's always a nice surprise. Well, almost always a nice surprise. If I could get a sandstorm in a bottle or a magic carpet, it would help immensely for early game mobility, and never mind, I guess I get the Pharaoh set. Having accepted my fate, I donned the robes of a long-deceased pharaoh and continued my adventure. The pyramid ended up leading down to a golden chest where I got a pair of shoe spikes. Guarding too, nice. After backtracking a bit, I continued delving deeper into the earth where I got some Hermes boots. First day of Hermes boots almost makes up for getting the pharaoh's robes. I ended the first day off by making a couple houses and my first weapon, a wooden bow. After finding the ice biome and getting the merchant, I thought he always sold throwing knives, but it's only during blood moons. I made some more houses for a very important NPC, the demolitionist. Being my main source for grenades, I would need them. After buying 500 grenades, I set off to the corruption. Since this is expert mode, I needed defense, and what better way to get it than shadow armor before any bosses. So for about the next hour and a half, I farmed for ancient shadow armor. At one point, I felt an evil presence watching me, so I returned home and began some preparations. And after a bit of grenade spam, the battle was won. Before my next task, I drank a gravitation potion and searched for some sky islands. Ideally, I would have wanted either fledgling wings or a lucky horseshoe to negate fall damage, but I'll take a shiny red balloon any day. I got all the way up to 360 health before returning to the corruption to snag the last piece of my armor. With full shadow armor, I thought I was ready for the Eater of Worlds. I'll just show you how that turned out. Now, I'm pretty sure it was just my lack of mobility and the projectiles it shot out that got me. So before I challenged it again, I summoned King Slime and grabbed the slimy saddle to help with dodging. The only reason I did this fight was for the Nightmare Pickaxe. I didn't even use the Worm Scarf until the Wall of Flesh fight, but whatever, another boss down. After I noticed the arms dealer moved in, I rushed over and bought the flintlock pistol. The very same used by this fella. Using grenades for almost everything gets old pretty quick, and the wooden bow was just too weak to consider using. Plus, I've never used the flintlock pistol, so it was a fun change of pace. After stocking up on some musket balls and grenades, I headed over to the dungeon to build an arena for my next hurdle. I also moved the Dryad near the dungeon to get the Dryad's buff when Skeletron appears. I don't know if it's just me, but did Expert Mode Skeletron used to seem impossible to anyone else? I swear, it used to take me so much preparation, but now it feels like I beat it in my sleep. Anyway, after some dodging and shooting, I took down the beast. I was pretty torn whether or not to allow the use of the Book of Skulls. The wiki lists it as the Clothier's weapon, but as the Shadow Flame version. Ultimately, I decided against being able to use it and went on to loot the dungeon. All I needed was the Cobalt Shield, and after I nabbed that, I headed back to my Skeletron arena to farm up for some Goblin Scouts. The Goblin army wasn't spawning, and I was in need of the Goblin. Once I summoned the Goblin army, I headed for my farm. Admittedly, I've never used one of these during gameplay, so I thought it would be worth a shot. It did well enough until all the Goblin sorcerers started to overwhelm me. Once that was done, I grabbed my lifeform analyzer I picked up from the traveling merchant earlier and began the Goblin search. Just seeing Victor show up honestly gave me a laugh, because when it popped up, I had absolutely no idea what that even meant. Eventually, I found it to be the skeleton merchant. Cool that I found him, but unfortunately none of his wares piqued my interest. I did pick up some Spelunker glow sticks, but honestly didn't remember I even bought them until writing the script, so at least I fueled the Terraria economy. Finally finding the goblin, I bought the usual, and when I went home I began combining accessories. I fought the Eye of Cthulhu a couple times to get some gold to reforge a bit, but we all know how the goblin is, so it didn't turn out the greatest. Next I went to the underground jungle to try and find an anklet of the wind so I can get the lightning boots. You know what they say, movement speed is king. I am they. Long story short, I didn't find it. My inventory was extremely busting, so I headed home to unload from my travels. The last thing I did for the day was clean up my home arena a bit, removing some treetops and fixing platforms. A new day and new adventure awaits. I spent no time dilly-dallying and went right for the caves. My intentions were to go to the underworld today, so that's what I did. Once I got there, I realized I forgot my shadow key at home. That was probably a good thing since I had an absolute wreck of an inventory at the moment, so I just grabbed a Hellforge and all the Hellstone ore I could. It was time to upgrade my armor. After carefully mining behind walls and floor, I went home, grabbed my obsidian, and began the smithing of my new gear. Luckily, I mined pretty much all I needed. I got a full suit of molten armor and a molten pickaxe. Now that I was properly geared up, there were only a couple more things to do before I made it to hard mode. One of those things was finding the shimmer. I don't really look for it in my worlds, but since I didn't have access to the stronger weapons, I needed to take advantage of every mechanic I could. For those of you that don't know, the shimmer is a pool of liquid that spawns underground on the same side of the world as the jungle. Throwing specific items in it can change them. For example, throwing in any fruit will give you ambrosia, an item that permanently increases your building and mining speed, and also deconstructs many items you throw in it. For example, throwing in an obsidian shield will give you the cobalt shield and an obsidian skull, as if you never crafted them together, a feature I take advantage of a bit later. At the dawn of a new day, I went to the jungle again. This was the day I wanted to make it to hard mode, so I would need to finish my upgrades. After acquiring an anklet of the wind, I crafted it with an aglet and my specter boots to get the lightning boots. After not getting quite the prefix I wanted, I was about to start reforging. That is when I remembered that shimmer can deconstruct items. Get where I'm going with this? Every time I didn't get warding, I threw it back in. Rinse and repeat until I got all of my accessories warding that I could. The only items I had to reforge were the Shield of Cthulhu and the Worm Scarf. Once all of my equipment was ready, I began collecting resources for my Hell Bridge. Stone platforms, sunflowers, and heart lanterns. As soon as I started building the bridge, it was clear to me that these enemies were unlike anything I've faced before. The Hellbats were so small it was hard to shoot them from afar. Using grenades also hurt me if they were too close. I do have some good news though. One of the shadow chests I opened had a flower of fire, so I already have one of my hard mode weapons. Bad thing is though is that because of the rules, I can't use it until I get into hard mode. I took a break from the relentless enemies for a bit and tried to find a lava charm. It wasn't a necessity right now, but if I wanted to craft the Terra Spark boots one day, it would be nice to have on hand. I went back to the surface to purchase some dynamite. I needed a quicker way to get to the underworld than maneuvering in caves. So with all my gold spent, I went to bombing. With a quick way down, I continued work on the bridge, adding in what I call the buff chambers. It's pretty simple. I make a box, plant some grass, place a sunflower, a campfire, and a heart lantern. Now just build more spanning the bridge, and just like that you have increased movement speed and health regeneration. On top of that, reduced monster spawn rate. I had a spare voodoo doll, so I figured I'd see what I was up against. The first roadblock I hit was the hungry. Usually you could just use piercing to go through them and hit the wall of flesh, or just kill them to get to the wall. Well, at the moment I couldn't do either of them. Grenades would have been an option, but they fall through platforms, so that wasn't happening either. After dying, I was sent back home to a goblin invasion and decided just to get it over with. After winning, I played with the Flower of Fire a bit. Don't judge me, I'm eager to use it. I got to thinking about my current weapons and thought I could use an upgrade. My flintlock only did 14 damage. I knew it wasn't going to cut it. I remembered that the blowgun exists though, which the witch doctor uses and also sells, so it was game for this challenge. So I grabbed some platforms and spiky balls to throw on the ground for when the queen bee charges at me. After arriving at the hive, I built a small arena and began the fight. Seeing how good the spiky balls were against queen bee gave me an idea. I completely forgot about the blowgun. Instead, I bought around 2,000 spiky balls and went to challenge the wall of flesh again. To see how they fared against the wall of flesh, I only took an iron skin potion and a pumpkin pie. It was actually super good. This was it. I'm about to be in hard mode. Yes, I'm doing it! It's so close, come on! Words can't even describe the rage I had at this moment. It went away as soon as I respawned though. The god respawned during the fight so I could easily try again. Before I did though, I extended the bridge with all the platforms I had left and made an assortment of potions to aid me in the coming fight. With nothing else to prepare, I summoned the Wall of Flesh. This was actually a pretty chill fight. The spiky balls did quick work of the hungry to make overall survival easier. I was able to successfully defeat the Wall of Flesh before even getting to the end of the bridge. And just like that, pre-hard mode was over. Now a new journey begins. Hey everyone, to those of you that made it this far, I just want to say thank you. Even writing this script, I can tell it's going to be a long one, so thank you to anyone that stuck through it. If you liked the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. Again, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all next time. Peace. Hey everyone. Before the video begins, I just want to say that I am sick, so my voice does sound a bit, nasally and different, but I hope you all still enjoy the video. Peace. There are a lot of NPCs in Terraria, and each one of them uses a weapon to defend themselves. But can you beat the game using only those weapons? In the first part, I beat the entirety of pre-hard mode with them. Now I have to tackle hard mode up to Golem, so let's get right into it. Hard mode presents a list of new challenges, the first of which being way increased enemy health. And my flintlock pistol wasn't anywhere near cutting it. I needed an upgrade. So the first thing I did was farm the Wall of Flesh for the clockwork assault rifle. Luckily the steampunker uses it, so that will be my main weapon. After a few attempts, I got it. To keep the upgrade train moving, I went up to a nearby sky island to farm for some souls of flight and a giant harpy wing. Now I didn't get the giant harpy wing yet, but I eventually did. I decided to take a break from that and smash some demon altars, blessing my world with cobalt, orichalcum, and titanium. I mined some cobalt and also bought silver bullets, which would be my main ammo source. A bit later I went back to the sky island, and I got it. So now we have wings and much better mobility. I then decided to begin the fan favorite hard mode ore grind. I made myself some powerful titanium armor and went to upgrade my accessories a bit before taking on any bosses. After getting the Terraspark boots, I thought it was good a time as any to take on the destroyer. It was going well in the beginning. I crafted some crystal bullets earlier, so those were dealing good damage. I did run into a pretty big problem at the end of the fight though. I'll just show you how it ended. Yeah, because I'm still 20,000 damage short. He's gone, yeah. Damn. Yeah, he'd just somehow find a way to deal 20,000 more damage during the night. I'll just leave that problem to future me and try to take on the twins. I had a much better time with this one. I was even able to beat them twice. And you're dead. Woo! Okay, let's see here. I mainly did it to flex on them, but the extra hallowed bars didn't hurt. After the twins were taken down, I went back to the shimmer for two things. Number one, turning my warrior emblem into a ranger emblem. And number two, getting my Terraspark boots to menacing. With nothing else much to do, I went and fought Skeletron Prime. As I predicted, it was a very easy fight. Having a good ranged weapon and wings makes this fight easy as pumpkin pie. Yes! Yippee! Hell yeah, now we're done with that one. It sucked that I wasn't able to make anything with either of the boss's souls, but hey, at least I was able to make hallowed armor. I wanted to change up my armor a bit, so I went to a demon altar and made the ancient hallowed set. I also fought Queen Slime for some reason. I didn't need to, I just felt like it. Then I failed at getting a good reforge on my clockwork assault rifle. And the goblin wonders why no one likes him. All he does is steal your money. SMH! Sometime later, a solar eclipse happened. I tried using my mob farm to get the broken bat wing, but unfortunately I didn't get it. So it looks like I'm using the harpy wings for just a bit longer. So after a failed attempt at better wings, I summoned the destroyer again. I wasn't getting anywhere without conquering that metal beast. I made some cursed bullets in preparation to deal more damage, took all of my best potions and buffs, and began the fight. If you remember from my first fight, I had to do an extra 20,000 damage. I was hoping the cursed bullets would help with that. They had to, I didn't really have any other options. The fight began the same as last time. It was taking good damage and going down fairly quickly. I was even able to get it down below 20,000 health. So I knew there was a chance. The closer to day I got though, the more I knew I wasn't doing enough damage. That is until I had some, let's say, divine intervention. In the last minute of the fight, 2 stars came down and did devastating damage to the destroyer. The damage caused by the stars enabled me to win the fight. Oh my god, yes, yes! Oh my god, I was so low. Now that I can mine chlorophyte and I started making a mushroom biome, I've pretty much accepted I'm going to be ranged for the remainder of the game, so I needed to get the truffle ready so I can make some shroomite gear. Then, to pass the time, I slept to try and get the traveling merchant to spawn. I still wanted the pulse bow for its high damage. With a lot of time passed and no sign of the merchant, I went to mine some chlorophyte and grabbed some life fruit. I ended up making the chlorophyte set for the extra defense and the leaf crystal to aid me during the Plantera fight. I was going to wait to craft armor until Shroomite gear, but I could always just mine more chlorophyte. During my time in the jungle, I actually got a tattered bee wing, so I went and crafted some new bee wings. After I became one with the bee, I did the second fan favorite hard mode activity, clearing out an arena for Plantera. After clearing out a big enough space, and also making a little respawn area in case the battle went south, I began the fight. The fight was straight textbook, homie! Using my crystal bullets helped dwindle down her tentacles, and after some simple dodging, I completed my quest of defeating this wretched plant. I wasn't recording my voice for this part, so I'll just put my reaction to beating the destroyer in there. Oh my god, yes, yes! Oh my... Before I went to the temple to fight Golem, I went home and placed down a new chest. My plan at the end of this challenge is to make some sort of build with all my armor sets lined up. So I placed down a chest and put all my past armor sets inside. I was passing by the hollow and saw a prismatic lace wing and thought about fighting the Empress of Light. I didn't think about it long before I just started the fight. Full disclosure, I've never beaten this boss legit. The only time I have was when I was in my endgame armor on a character that I've had for years. So yeah, I've never learned the attack patterns, so I didn't expect to win. That went about as bad as I expected it to. After that miserable failure, I went searching across the world for the components of the Ankh shield. I almost got them all too. I'm maybe missing 1 or 2 items. In the end, I decided to halt that for now, just so I had more to do in the final episode. That's literally the only reason why. At this point, I was very eager to take on Golem, mainly because I was excited to post this video since so many of you have been asking for it. Maybe I was just a bit too eager though, because after making my way through the temple and taking out all the enemies, disarming all the traps, and making a super quick arena, I took on Golem. We got him down around halfway. Yep, I lost to Golem. I blame it on being expert mode, and I'm using a very beginner hard mode weapon. In the end, I crafted up some chlorophyte bullets so I could just focus on dodging. In my first attempt, I lowered the health on the head before the fists, which was a big mistake. During this attempt, I took out the fists first. It just leaves less things to dodge in phase 2. I was a bit on edge because, again, there really wasn't much to do upgrade-wise to prepare. After taking out the fists, it was time for the head. Once Golem's head popped off, it turns into the easiest fight ever. Just a classic Golem fight. And just like that, bada bing bada boom, Golem is defeated. I fought him again trying to get the Sunstone or the Picksaw, but didn't get either. Dang. Okay, well I can always do that. I can always do that some other time. And with another boss slain, I headed home, crafted some new beetle wings, and celebrated by spamming my slime mount. Now there's only a couple things left to do before I take on the God of the Moon. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed part 2 of Terraria with NPC weapons only. And if you did enjoy it, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Comment would be appreciated as well. Again, thank you all for watching, and have a good one. Peace. Now Terraria has a whole list of NPCs, and each one of them has their own weapon to You know what? You all already know the rules. I can only beat the game using the weapons the NPCs use. Now let's tackle the end of the game. First thing first, I need to set up a pylon system. Now fast traveling around my world is something I'm going to need for the upcoming battles, especially during the pillars when I'll most likely be dying very quickly. So I built houses in the hollow, snow, ocean, desert, and jungle. They weren't good houses, mind you, or fit the theme of each biome. They were literally only there for getting pylons and easy transport. Funny enough, the forest pylon took me the longest to get. It's weird because I swear I bought the pylon earlier, but after looking in like the same 8 chests for 5 minutes, I ended up just having to buy another one. And there's another good reason for building all the houses was getting all the NPCs. And with that comes the princess. So to start, I dove into the desert until I found the golfer. Finding the ancient chisel was a nice surprise too. I would say finding it was useful, but I already mined pretty quickly, so it didn't affect me too much. With another NPC down, I went over to the ocean to try and farm for a pirate map. I ended up taking a break by going on a trip to the underworld. I'd seen the tax collector down here basically like a million times in my journey, but when I'm actually looking for him, he's nowhere to be found. Unfortunately, I did get a little eepy, so I came back to do it later. Okay, now since it's later, I grabbed a water candle and made my way down. And now with the water candle placed down, after about a minute, I got the tax collector.
This is a reminder to tip your landlord.
I took a look at my accessories and thought about some upgrades. I slapped the Ranger emblem into the guide and realized I could craft the Avenger emblem. And with the Golem eye I got last time, I could make the Destroyer emblem. Yeah, it did give me a bit less damage, but it also gave me plus 8% crit chance, so it was worth it. Then I got it forged to Menacing for the extra damage as well. I went back to the ocean to try again for the pirate map. I brought along 4 slime crowns as well. In the end, I didn't even get it, so I'd have to think of something else. Boy, the pirate is giving me a tough time.
Yar! I should make him walk the plank when I get to him. Yeah!
Okay, I thought of something else. I'm using Ebonstone to make more monsters spawn. There was also a full moon, so some werewolves spawned, and I snagged the adhesive bandage. I didn't even account for the mummies that started spawning. It's a good thing they spawned too, because from one mummy I got a pirate map and a fast clock, so that's 2 items I needed off the list. So I used the map and went home to fight. I remember why I don't like this event very much. Mainly the pirates that have range attacks like the crossbower, Deadeye, and last but least, the pirate captain. I resorted to some pretty big cheese like standing on my roof and using chlorophyte bullets to win. Now it didn't take long for the Flying Dutchman to spawn. There wasn't much I needed from this aside from the NPC, and eventually after a lot of this, the pirates were defeated. Having all the necessary items, I crafted the Ankh Charm, and then the Ankh Shield. Then I headed for the dungeon. I wanted the Master Ninja gear. The Shield of Cthulhu was nice, but the Ninja gear gave me a chance to dodge attacks, and I had a feeling that would save me more than once. I got the black belt but not the tabby. I'd have to come back later for it. I got the alert that the princess had moved in, so it was time to enact my plan. Well, another one will spawn eventually, and another one did. And just like that, I got the Resonance Scepter. Now, I've never actually used this, but the amount of comments I've gotten about it are impossible to ignore, so I really hope it lives up to the expectation. With the Resonance Scepter in hand, I headed over to the jungle. If I was going to be using this, I needed some mage armor. So after mining chlorophyte and gathering ectoplasm, I made the Spectre armor. I made the mask instead of the hood just for defense. And you know what they say, defense is king. I am they. I returned to the Lizard Temple to try my hand at getting the Pixaw or the Sunstone. Luckily, I got the Pixaw first try. I got no Sunstone, but I did get D-Town's Set in Wings. After 6 failed attempts at getting it, I looked at a wing list on the wiki and realized the Steampunk sold the Steampunk wings. But it literally costs over 1 platinum to reforge them. Luckily though, on my second reforge I got Menacing, so that'll have to do for now. And after 7 golem fights, I still didn't get what I needed. So I'll just have to do it later. I figured if I wasn't getting the Sunstone, I'd get the Moon Charm. So after waiting for a full moon, I went back to my artificial corruption in the ocean to farm werewolves. Now that I had that, I searched across my world for a Martian probe. I really wanted the Cosmic Car Key for the UFO mount to use on the Moonlord fight to replace my wings. Mainly just so I could equip another emblem for more damage. Long story short, this sucked. I died way too many times and was only able to kill the saucer once, and all I got was the Xenopopper. Does anyone actually use this? That gives me an idea for a space-themed only challenge, but that's for another time. But back to the game. I didn't get the UFO mount, and unfortunately I wasn't able to find another probe. Funny enough though, as I was walking around the outer part of my world, I saw the cultist and decided to fight him. No arena, no preparation, no buffs, and won. With the lunar event now happening, I knew I had to just buckle down and get the Sunstone. So I went to the temple and farmed power cells. Still didn't get it. Don't worry though, I'll be back to do it soon. Next, I went back to the Shimmer. I was going to get all my accessories to warding for maximum defense. And next up on the list was getting a better mount. So I took the 6 queen slime spawners I had so I could get the slime mount from her. I'll take the extra mobility any day. And then once again, I came to the temple for the Sunstone. So, armed with 10 power cells, I began the grind. Look at that, no Sunstone. But I got almost 4 platinum, I guess. And got complete and utter The only good things that come from this fight is the money. I have 15 platinum coins, so I mean, I guess that's cool if I had something to spend it on. Okay guys, I swear this is the last time I come here. Finally, I was able to craft the Celestial Shell, and I got it to warding. Nice. I also made a small area to grow some herbs. I was running low on Daybloom and decided, I'll just grow all of them, just to have them since it's never a bad idea to have extra. Now that I was geared up, I did everyone's third favorite hard mode activity, the pillars, starting with the solar pillar. I only started this one just to get it out of the way, and after many deaths, I took it down. I started this new day off by trying to find a step of regrowth to increase my planting yield. I didn't find it, by the way. I now do something I haven't done at all in this world. Fishing. I went to my corruption and fished for some ebon koi and got some armored cavefish too. Endurance and wrath potions would both be very helpful during the Moonlord fight, so I had to get stocked up. After making the potions I would need, I began on the rest of the pillars, starting with Vortex, then Stardust. Quick intermission to fight the Empress of Light. Die. Another intermission to make a long bridge to fight Moonlord with campfires, heart lanterns, sunflowers, and bottled stars. And then took on the Nebula Pillar. During the Nebula Pillar, I found out that when I'm flying upwards, I could press the mount button, and with the flying slime it boosted me up multiple blocks in a shorter time than using wings. A trick that saved my life very soon. And then once the final pillar was destroyed, I headed home, grabbed my potions, and waited for my impending doom. Here is where the Resonance Scepter really shines. So using it summons pink circles at the cursor that deal damage, and the circles stay where they are once they're used. So all I had to do was just run away and attack ahead of the Moonlord so he just runs into them. I am so glad I found out about the vertical movement with the slime mount. I mean, like, just look at how it helped me dodge this laser. Oh, that was close. I'm so glad I found out about that Queen Slime mount thing. And then all I had to do was just rinse and repeat everything and be smart about the fight. And after about, I think it was 6 minutes of running, the Moonlord fell. Yes! Yes! Oh my god! I've done it. I beat Terraria using NPC weapons only. But I still have one last thing I want to do. I'm going to build a victory hall, showcasing all of my past armor, weapons, accessories, and vanity items I've used for this challenge. Hey everyone, before the video ends, I just wanted to thank everyone that has supported me during this challenge. The growth I've had is like nothing I've ever seen before, so thank you all so much. If you enjoyed it, make sure to let me know in the comments below. Again, thank you all so much, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.